This is Brian Calle with the Orange County Register, and I'm here with former Congressman Tom Campbell, very distinguished, running for the United States Senate. Tom, thanks for being here today.
My joy. Thanks for having me, Brian.
So the last time we had you on the stage, you were running for governor. Could you tell us a little bit about why you switched from the governor's race into the U.S. Senate race?
Well, there's two reasons. First of all, since the time that I made my original announcement, the growth in the interest in the federal issues has just been extreme. The federal government's role in health care, for instance, having a role in such a large part of our economy, totally since I was first declared for office. Also, we have a new president. Also, we have a budget deficit of $1.26 trillion. In real terms, one of the highest in history. All of those things focus us now on the federal issues. The unemployment rate, for example, has grown up so much, the financial regulation and the financial meltdown. So if I can do some good for the people of California, it may be that I can do that through the role that I play in the federal government.
Now, you mentioned health care a moment ago. Yeah. It's on top of mind for many people. What would you do if you were voted by the people of California into the Senate? Would you repeal the health care bill?
I would. I'd repeal and replace. The key is to make sure that you've got an alternative that covers folks with pre-existing conditions and those who are poor but don't presently get coverage under Medicaid or Medi-Cal in our state. But you don't need this huge federal system which is being set up. You could, for example, take care of those two groups by going to the providers for Medi-Cal and saying, here's an assigned risk pool that you must cover as well. Instead, this bill creates a system where all of us are going to pay more for our health care insurance. We don't know how much. It isn't a line item in the budget which we could say yes or no. It simply is an imposition on all of us.
Now, just this week, there was some breaking news about Goldman Sachs. What is the role of government in this situation? What do you think that you would bring to the table if you had to deal with it while you were in Congress?
I'd bring a strong respect for the free market, the need for government to be limited to where there is something that cannot be done for and by the free market. In the instance of investment banks, if it is clear that the government will not bail you out if you fail, that we'll no longer have this too big to fail doctrine, then you take your risk, it's disclosed, and if you succeed, you keep the results, and if it fails, you have the responsibility. Now, among the allegations about Goldman Sachs is failure to disclose. So I'm a strong believer in transparency. You must tell your investors what the opportunities are, and in that case, it's alleged that the firm was betting against you. You'd have to disclose that as well.
And then on foreign policy, both of your Republican primary contenders have also criticized you a little bit about Israel and your positions on Israel. Would you like to clarify your record or talk a little bit about your position on Israel?
The issue came up of, shall we increase economic aid to Israel? The answer was we were cutting spending at home. We were cutting economic assistance to all other countries that we were giving aid to. But an exemption was made for Egypt and Israel. And my thought was, no, if it's fair to cut everybody, it's fair to cut everybody. And since Israel's aid was only 50% economic, I proposed that it be cut 4% when the rest of the world was being cut 8%. Mm-hmm. That was one instance, and I think it's the right thing if you're going to approach the budget deficit with seriousness.
One last question on the Supreme Court. As a United States Senator, you would have some role in the confirmation process of a new Supreme Court justice. What do you look for in a Supreme Court justice, or what would you look for in a Supreme Court justice?
That the person be competent, be hardworking, be fair, and that the person have a position on fundamental jurisprudential issues that is within the spectrum of fair debate. You can't say that it would be the same person nominated by President Reagan or that would be nominated by President Obama. For my own lights, if I ever were in the position to nominate or recommend a nominee, it would be somebody with a high degree of respect for the written Constitution, that we are constraining federal government power as opposed to expanding federal government power. And lastly, I'd point out that I was tremendously honored to have been asked to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee on the nomination of Robert Bork. And I testified in favor of Robert Bork's nomination to the Supreme Court.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us again, Tom. Hope to do it again.
My joy. Thanks for asking me.
Thanks.